Alright, let's try this again. I made this video last night and I decided to add a little music to it. And me being new to YouTube, I didn't understand the copyright policy. Now, I was not given a copyright strike, but it did something to the video which I didn't really understand, so I just took it down and I'm going to do this again. I'm going to go over the Panthers game yesterday a little bit. It was what I called the Back to Reality game. Before I got satellite radio in my car, probably in 2010 or so, before that, I used to go to work listening to the land radio, terrestrial radio. I think they call it now. Gosh, it makes you feel old, but there's a local station that played 80s and 90s popular music and rock, and there's this band called Soul to Soul. I don't think they had any other hits, but they had one hit that was very popular in the 80s and was still played and still is played on classic popular music and maybe even classic rock stations. Probably not classic rock, but classic popular music called Back to Life. And the opening lyrics of the song is back to life, back to reality. It's kind of what this game was for the Panthers. And it stood out to me because I remember it seemed like every single time I was going to work, if I had just come back from vacation or if I had a couple days off, or I never had a regular schedule, but if I had, I'd work a bunch of days and have a bunch of days off sometimes. And if I had some time away and was having to go back, it just seemed like that song always came on. Back to life, back to reality. It was kind of hit home. Yeah, your fun time of not having to worry about work is done. Back to reality, dude. Off to work you go. That's how I feel about this Panthers game yesterday. We went to Soldier Field and lost 36-10. As I mentioned in my previous video, I kind of have a hard time still calling that Soldier Field. It's a very, very ugly stadium now. They renovated it in the early 2000s, and by renovated, I mean they completely took down everything that was unique and interesting and good about the original Soldier Field and built basically a monstrosity in its place, to the point where the people that are in charge of the historic landmarks took away Soldier Field's historic landmark designation for that stadium, because it just I don't know what the designers were thinking at the time. I mean, I guess 2000 had just happened. That's probably when they started designing it. I guess they wanted to make it look futuristic by the 90s standards. You got to remember, those of us that were around in 2000, I was 16, we thought everything was going to be like flying cars and spaceships and flying saucers and stuff like that, but no. Thank goodness. But, yeah, very ugly stadium, probably the ugliest aesthetically. It's hard to believe that they took such a great thing and turned it into something so bad. Kind of like the Panthers to an extent. Of course, we were never as great as Soldier Field was, but, you get the point. And now the Bears are looking to get out of the city of Chicago and try to get in the suburbs like everybody else in Chicago who has two dimes to rub together. But yeah, we lost 36-10, and we got absolutely lit up by DJ Moore. It was a very interesting game as far as subplots go. DJ Moore is one of the ones we traded to the Chicago Bears, in addition to a 2023 first and second round, our 2023 first and second round pick, and our 2024 first and second round pick, for the right to move up I think to the first pick, or one of the first picks in the 2023 draft, to draft Bryce Young. We've talked about him. He's out. He's not been good, and now Andy Dalton is in. We've had 2 very good weeks with him. Had a very good win in Las Vegas against the Raiders, and had what I call a quality loss against the Bengals last week. We put up some points. We're competitive for the most part. A lot better than I expected. A lot better than I could normally expect from any game by the Panthers in the David Tepper era. But we didn't get the job done. But we made a very good showing of ourselves. Yesterday we did not make a good showing of ourselves. The Bears kicked our ass from whistle to whistle pretty much. And DJ Moore lit us up with over 100 receiving yards. Just absolutely tortured J.C. Horn all game. Made him look sorry. And to the point where after the last touchdown, J.C. Horn, his frustrations boiled over, and he ignited a brawl and got himself thrown out. On one hand, I'm happy that he's passionate and that he's frustrated about not having a good game. That's good to see. Unfortunately, channeled in all the wrong directions. And now he's made things worse. Now the officials are going to look at us him a lot closer than they probably have in the past, and opposing opposing wide receivers, they can get in his head pretty easy. So I hate that. But I know we've had injuries and stuff, but yeah, the same DJ Moore we traded, and one of the first round picks that we traded to Chicago, which turned out to be the first overall pick this year, back in April in the draft, which they used to draft Caleb Williams, who had a spectacular game against us. He belongs. He looks like he belongs. He can definitely do the job on Sundays as an NFL quarterback. I know there's been a lot of questions. I talked about in the video yesterday. There's questions about his mental makeup, but as long as you get the job done, that's all that matters. I questioned it. I questioned whether he could be effective as an NFL quarterback with his mindset. But he can paint his nails all he wants. He can talk all the weird stuff he wants, and he can go cry in his mom's arms all he wants, because now we, as Panthers fans and the Panthers organization, we're the ones crying in our mom's arms after yesterday. We got our ass kicked, and 36-10. And one of the craziest parts is, towards the end of the game, we took Andy Dalton out. He didn't have a good game. I don't know if they're starting to get film on him, or if this is my chance is kind of wearing off, and I think the team, has played over their heads for 2 weeks in a row as well. But they took him out and put Bryce Young back in. I thought, okay, maybe we're going to see if we can give him a chance, because we did give up a lot to get him, and it'd be kind of good for us if he could do well. But in the post game, the coach said that they did that because the game was already out of reach, and they didn't want Andy Dalton to get hurt behind that line. So basically, the guy that we gave up so much, including DJ Moore, who torched us, who lit us up, and one of the picks that turned out to be Caleb Williams, who torched us and lit us up, the guy we drafted gave up everything so we could draft him. We put him in to take the hits, to basically be Andy Dalton's stunt double. It's not a good sign. It's just emblematic of everything that's gone wrong in the David Tepper era. It's very disappointing that we're in this position as a team, but at the end of the day, they're still the Panthers, and I still love them. I'm going to pull for them no matter what. It's tough. We have a long, long road ahead of us, and a lot more bad years ahead of us. This is not a good run organization until David Tepper either sells the team to somebody who's willing to cede control and let people know what they're doing, do it and hire the right people, or until David Tepper decides to do it himself, which I don't think it's wired into him to do that. We're going to have a rough time for a long time. And that's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you know what? I'm not going to be a fair weather fan. Obviously there's other teams that I'll look at and hope do well because for other reasons, but at the end of the day, no team's the Carolina Panthers for me. They're the only ones. It's gonna be a long road, but I think we saw that. I think yesterday's going to be the norm. I think that's who we really are. Like I said, we had 2 spectacular weeks. I felt like big win, and like I said, a quality loss for a team like us. Looked like we might be on the road to being respectable. But I think true respectability for more than a week or 2 at a time is still a long ways off in the future for us. We just, like I said, gotta get some people in there that know what they're doing. Gotta have an owner who's willing to get people that know what they're doing and let them do their jobs. With everything we gave up, we could have drafted C.J. Stroud. And as you see, this is a quarterback-driven league. Quarterbacks make all the difference. And I made a video saying that it didn't really matter because of how bad the Panthers are running. That's still true to an extent. I'm not going to completely walk back on that one, because C.J. Stroud would not be ultimately a difference maker for the Panthers. He'd be the difference between us winning 2 or 3 games a year and winning 6 or 7 games a year. Unfortunately, over in Houston, he has a chance to do some good things, which he would not have over here in Carolina, unfortunately. But congrats to the Bears. They look good. They look like the monsters of the Midway of old. We looked anemic on offense again. Couldn't move the ball. We're held to very, very few yards, passing and running. Like I said, gave up quite a few yards. I think Caleb Williams threw for over 300, and I know DJ Moore had over 100 receiving yards, which is big. Especially in today's NFL, seems like they spread the ball around a lot more and are a lot more reliant on shorter passes. So you don't see wide receivers really lighting up like that as much as you used to. Where it seemed like every team every week would have at least one player get to or scare 100 yards. But congrats to DJ. Wish we still had him along with about a lot of other people in the league. Christian McCaffrey, even our former head coach Steve Wilkes. Wish we still had him. I could go on and on and on. Wish we had those picks. Um, Maybe we'll get the first pick this year and be able to actually use it. But we'll either do something stupid with it and or do something stupid with it and they'll be stuck in a bad organization anyway. So if we don't do anything stupid with it, they're kind of doomed. So it's bleak. Our future's bleak. It's kind of, like I said, back to life, back to reality for us. But the Panthers are still my team, and I'll be here after the next game to give more insightful analysis into my broken teal blue soul. But till then, you guys take care. Hope, again, prayers to everybody in Western North Carolina and Tennessee and Georgia and here in South Carolina and some places that were heavily impacted by Hurricane Helene. Like I said, very, very lucky here. Very ashamed of how I handled not having power for 7 days still. But my prayers to them. Thank you. So prayers to them. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you soon.